All right, guys. Chasing God by Angie Smith. I just finished reading this book, and good is an understatement. This book, I actually want to read it again, but I've told a few people about it, and I'll probably let a few people borrow it, and then I'll read it again when I get it back. But this book, I felt like this book was speaking to me when I was reading it. It hit so many things, so many nails on the head. Basically, and it's not really, I can't even really basically sum it up, but I'll do the best that I can. It's about basically your relationship with God and how we shouldn't be chasing God, and how a lot of us, or from her experience, with chasing God versus following God. Let me just read the inside cover thing. Am I doing this right? Maybe you're like Angie and you walk with God, and your walk with God has looked a lot like chasing than it has following. Are you doing it right? Will you ever reach Him? What is Christianity supposed to look like in the practical sense? Chasing God is what happens when we use religion to fill the gaps in our faith. And it might be the reason you've wondered if you're where you should be with God. We pursue the Lord as if He's a goal instead of a relationship. And we wonder if we'll ever measure up to the rest of the pew. It leaves us wanting. It leaves us questioning. It leaves us exhausted. But it doesn't have to be this way. In a moment of desperation, Angie cried out to God, and she wasn't prepared for what came next. It was the realization that turned her faith upside down, spilling out truth that had been dormant for years, urging her to do the one thing she never imagined would lead her right to Him. 3 words breathed life into her pursuit. Stop chasing God. Isn't it time you stopped as well? And then the back cover. 3 words changed everything. Maybe you've never asked a question out loud, but you've wondered. You do the things that look good on paper. You read your Bible, pray, attend study groups, and go to church on Sundays. But you aren't really convinced you really know Him. Angie Smith understands because she has run circles around the same path searching for Him, frustrated at her lack of progress. And she probably would have continued to do so had it not been for one realization that changed everything. She wasn't following God. She was trying to catch up with Him. And without realizing it, you may be as well. It's a distinction that affects every aspect of our lives with Christ. And it begins with learning where we've relied more on man's explanation of God than God Himself. So many requirements, so many rules, so much guilt where there is supposed to be freedom. It's the reason you wonder if you've measured up. And the nagging voice that tells you you're a failure as a Christian. 3 simple words changed everything for Angie. And she believes they can do the same for you. Stop chasing God. Now, when I was reading this book, I got stuff underlined, highlighted. I've gone back and read things over and over. I had to put the book down a couple times. A few pieces, even thinking about it right now, I could, it causes me to tear up, the different trials that we go through in life. How dependent are we on God? How much do we trust Him? How do we trust Him? Sometimes we say we trust Him, but we don't really trust Him. What does trusting Him look like? What does living in freedom with Christ look like? So anyway, I don't want to make this too long. Excellent book. I don't see how anybody could read this book and not benefit from it. So go get this book, Chasing God by Angie Smith.